As you guys already know, Apple revealed their new iPad Air 4 at their September event, but they said that it's not coming until next month, with no mention of when we'll be able to even order it. Now, we were gonna wait until we got the new iPad Air 4 in our office to make a bunch of comparison videos, but you guys have been hammering us in the comment section asking us to make a video on the new iPad Air. So here you go. This video will answer the most important questions right now surrounding the iPad Air 4, like why can't we order it yet? When will it actually be available to order? And should you actually wait for it or just buy one of the current iPads like the brand new budget iPad, which really impressed us in our recent comparison video between the iPad and the iPad Pro. So let's get started with why we can't order the iPad Air 4 yet. The number one reason is that it comes with the new A14 chip, which is almost certainly going to be coming to the iPhone 12 lineup. So if Apple released the iPad Air 4 right now, it would basically spoil the performance of the new iPhones, and the folks over at Apple don't want that. So that probably means that reviewers will be getting their hands on the new iPhones before the new iPad Air. And that will only happen after Apple announces the new iPhone lineup next month at their October event, which is rumored to be happening on October 13th, over 2 weeks from today. Until then, we need to figure out if it's actually worth waiting for or not, because we've been testing the new 10.2-inch iPad, and it's actually an absolutely killer deal. Currently on sale for only $300 on Amazon, which is literally half the price of the new iPad Air 4. And on the other hand, some people should actually just buy the iPad Pro right now, because it has some major advantages over the iPad Air for just $200 more. And that's for the brand new 2020 iPad Pro, and not the 2018 model, which you can possibly find for quite a bit less. What it really comes down to is what you want out of your tablet. And don't worry, I'll make it easy for you and help you make the right decision. If you just want a premium tablet that will perform well and be reliable for the next 3, 4, or 5 years, then the 10.2-inch iPad does an excellent job for that. It works great for basically every daily task, and thanks to its A12 Bionic chip, it runs the latest games incredibly well, and it should do a great job for basic photo and video editing. And thanks to the smart connector, you can use a keyboard case with a built-in trackpad like the Logitech Combo Touch, which we recommend, which basically turns it into a great budget laptop replacement for things like working from home. The main downside is the outdated design with a home button and large bezels on the front, and the lackluster display, which is non-laminated, pretty reflective, and lacking decent quality in terms of the colors and contrast. Now the iPad Air 4 basically fixes all of that with a very modern display with rounded corners and excellent quality. The home button gets deleted and Touch ID is moved into the power button itself. The design is basically the same exact modern design as the 11-inch iPad Pro with squared off edges, so it'll feel right at home alongside the iPhone 12's rumored design change. And perhaps the biggest perk is support for Apple's exclusive and very unique Magic Keyboard case, which is definitely quite expensive, but it's just about the most modern and premium laptop replacement you can get these days. And if you don't want to spend that much money, you can order the Logitech Folio Touch for only $160, which is every bit as good as the Combo Touch, which we love on the 10.2-inch iPad. The new Air also supports the new modern 2nd Gen Apple Pencil, which magnetically attaches to the side of the iPad and charges wirelessly. The Lightning port also gets swapped out for a USB-C port, making it a whole lot more convenient to connect flash drives and other accessories like this 4TB Sabrent SSD for file storage. You also finally get stereo speakers on the top and bottom, so when you're watching something in landscape mode, you get audio from both sides, which is very helpful for gaming as well. And if you're someone who really cares about the camera quality, you get the same excellent main wide camera as the iPad Pro. And you also get upgraded specs like Wi-Fi 6. And of course, the biggest deal is that the iPad Air 4 gets the brand new A14 chip, And if you're curious about how it's going to perform, we can actually calculate the performance based on the info that Apple gave us. But first, let's conclude the difference between the 10.2-inch iPad and this new iPad Air 4. If you're someone who cares about having a modern design with modern features and display quality, then the iPad Air 4 is a great choice, since you can get all of that for $200 less than the iPad Pro. But the biggest deal is that 4 or 5 years from now, the iPad Air 4 is still gonna feel modern with the new design, compared to if you choose to save money and go for the budget 10.2-inch iPad for $300, which honestly already feels outdated with the old design. But if that doesn't really matter to you, and you just want a functional and reliable basic iPad for a great price, then I'd have to say that the 10.2-inch iPad is a much better choice for you, especially at the current Amazon sale price of only $300 using the link in the description below. And of course, there's also the iPad Mini 5, which is a great little iPad as well, and if you're curious about that, then definitely watch our comparison between the budget iPad and the iPad Mini 5 after this video is over. Now moving on to the differences between the iPad Air 4 and the current iPad Pro, there are a few important high-end features that the Air is missing. But first, let's talk about the performance of the new A14 chip. It's the very first 5nm chip on the market, built by TSMC and packing 40% more transistors than before, being around 40% faster in terms of the processor performance and 30% faster in terms of the graphics performance. Now, while that sounds great, those numbers are actually compared to the previous iPad Air, which had the A12 chip, not the current A13 chip that we have in the iPhone 11 lineup. So if we add those performance improvements to the A12 chip to estimate the performance of the A14, and then compare that to the current A12Z chip in the 2020 iPad Pro, we can see that the iPad Pro is still quite a bit faster in terms of the processor. And then for the graphics, we see an even bigger difference, with the iPad Pro's A12Z being much faster than the A14 and the new iPad Air 4, and that's what matters for things like gaming and video editing. But nevertheless, you still get a really nice boost compared to every other iPad, including the new 10.2-inch model. Now, what really makes the iPad Pro special is the 120Hz ProMotion technology, giving you a super snappy experience in day-to-day use, and it allows you to play games at up to 120 frames per second as long as the game supports it. The issue for the iPad Air 4 is that the display's refresh rate is limited to 60 Hz, just like all the other iPads, and most of the best modern games, like Call of Duty Mobile, already run great on the budget 10.2-inch iPad thanks to that A12 chip. So you really don't get that much of an advantage, while the iPad Pro's extra power can be put towards that sweet 120Hz display. On top of that, the iPad Pro gets extra features like quad speakers instead of just 2 stereo speakers. It also gets a brighter 600-nit display which supports HDR video. It gets a better camera with an ultra-wide lens and a flash. It gets the new LiDAR scanner if you care about augmented reality apps. It gets Face ID, which is very convenient and supports features like Memoji and portrait selfies. It also gets better microphones. The 120Hz ProMotion tech also helps the Apple Pencil get much less latency. It also gets double the storage at the base price, and it has 6 gigs of RAM compared to 3 or 4 coming to the new iPad Air. So I'd say that if you can afford it, the iPad Pro is definitely worth the extra $200 compared to the new iPad Air. But if those extra features don't really matter to you, then the iPad Air 4 is the obvious choice. But keep in mind that some rumors are pointing to a possible iPad Pro update before the end of this year, which might be limited to the 12.9-inch size, but we don't really know for sure just yet. So here's my final advice on if you should wait for the iPad Air 4 or not. If the budget 10.2-inch iPad just doesn't cut it for you, whether it's because of the outdated design or the non-laminated display, and if you definitely don't want to spend a hefty $800 on the best tablet ever made, the iPad Pro, then you should 100% wait for the iPad Air 4 coming next month. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and click the circle above to do so right now, because we're going to be making a ton of comparison videos with that new iPad Air 4 to help you decide which iPad you should buy. And if you're interested in the 10.2-inch iPad, go ahead and watch those videos right over there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.